Do embarrassment or fear stop you from doing things? If so, listen to this. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Inspiring Hope. This is your weekly boost of uplifting Jewish inspiration. I'm Rabbi Tzvi Sytner. On behalf of the VillageShulChan.com, I want to thank you all for listening. I also want to thank this week's sponsors. Today's talk is sponsored by Mr. and Mrs. Barry Sytner and family and Mr. and Mrs. Pinky Eisenberger and family in memory of my Zaidi, Rabbi ben Tzvi, Olav Shalom, may his neshama have an aliyah. Today's talk is also sponsored by Jacques and Vivian Sayeg in honor of the yahrzeit of Vivian's father, Yusuf Somek, Yosef and Moshe Olav Shalom, may his neshama have an aliyah. Lastly, today's sponsored by Nathan and Alexandra Zilbert in honor of their friend Ryan Spinner. Love you, Ryan. So I recently picked up my guitar to practice a little bit, and I remembered a story that happened years ago when I was living in Westchester. I had gotten a call from a Hebrew school in Mount Kisco asking if I could do a musical Hebrew school graduation. And I said to them, look, I'm happy to tell stories and inspire people, but I'm really not much of a musician. They said, yeah, that's okay. We don't need a major performance. We just need a musical rabbi to help us out. I thought, I'm really not much of a musician, but it's just kids, right? So I finally get there. I step up in front of the audience. And who's right there in the crowd, right in the front? Paul Schaefer, the musical director of the David Letterman show. I could not get my hand to strum that guitar in front of him. I'm an amateur. How could I play in front of him? Could you imagine the strength it took to get my fingers on the strings of that guitar? I literally pushed myself to the end. And at the end, I walk up to him. I said, so new, Paul, what'd you think? He says, you're really not much of a musician, but you don't let that get in the way of what you're trying to do. And that message has stayed with me for life. In Ethics of the Fathers, our rabbis teach us an incredible lesson. They say a bashful person never learns. And then it continues and says, in a place where there are no people, strive to be the person. Many of us grow up hearing from our teachers that there's no such thing as a stupid question. But it's so much deeper than not being afraid to ask questions. The Torah is telling us that if you want to be the person that you need to be, then you can't let embarrassment stop you from trying. Sometimes we're embarrassed or scared to try new things or to make changes in our lives. Why? Because we're afraid of failing. Maybe we're embarrassed to ask for advice or to ask for help in our jobs because we think it'll make us look less competent. Maybe we're scared to take the next steps in our relationships because maybe we're going to get hurt. And yes, some things are scary. However, we never know what we're really able to do, what we're really capable of, until we try. Come on, how many races have been won by athletes that everybody gave up on? How many businesses succeeded after people thought they would never take off? How many couples who had very challenging times in the beginning ended up enjoying beautiful marriages? Rabbi Noah Weinberg once said, people often avoid making decisions out of fear of making a mistake, when in reality, the failure to make decisions is one of life's biggest mistakes. I'm not going to kid anybody. Can we all achieve incredible wealth, have the perfect marriages, and become the greatest sages? Maybe not. But we don't know what we can achieve and the person we can become until we really try. And more importantly, the very act of trying itself, when you don't feel like it, that's really the true success in life. Try. Just try. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to sponsor the next episode or send me a message, just email me at hope@h.com. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.